Hello, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Jess. I hope you're doing well today. Today we are starting a new reading vlog. I have a microscopic book haul to show you. And then beyond that, I will talk about what I'm currently reading, what I plan to pick up next, etc. One of my local indie bookstores is moving, so they're doing a 25% off everything sale so they have less stuff to move to the new location. So I went there today to support them, support your local indie bookstores, you know. So I did buy 2 hardcovers, which kind of hurts when you're buying hardcovers at new price. But like I said, they were 25% off and it was going to an indie store, so I don't really mind it as much. The first one is The Sunrise on the Reaping, which everybody knows about. It is the Hunger Games 5th book. I reread the Hunger Games book 1, 2, and 3 this past year, and I had read them when I was a teenager, so they were definitely nostalgic to me. I really did love those books. So I was really happy when I reread them now as an adult, and they still held up. So I decided to pick up Sunrise on the Reaping because I've heard really, really great things about this one. I have also heard like kind of mixed things about Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I don't really think I'm gonna pick that one up just because I really kind of don't want to hear anything from President Snow. I haven't really heard like the greatest things about it. I know some people really love it. Let me know what you think about the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, if you liked it or if you were kind of like, you could skip it. But either way, I'm definitely gonna read this one because I've heard such great things about it. And when I was rereading the Hunger Games, they briefly mentioned Haymitch's games during the books, and the way they describe the arena from his games and the things that happen in it, I was definitely skipping those sections in the book because I was like, oh, I don't want to know what happens in his games because I don't want spoilers for this one. So that's the first thing that I got. And the next book that I got is The Isle in the Silver Sea by Tasha Suri. This is gorgeous. I just think this edition is so pretty. This one is definitely an instance where the cover is doing some heavy lifting in my like intrigue in the book, but honestly the premise does sound fascinating as well. I will read the premise to you because you may not know what this one is about compared to like Sunrise on the Reaping. I just absolutely love this edition. It has this beautiful holographic title with a kind of reflective portion in the middle. The spine is also holographic, but I also really love the naked hardcover as well. It has this beautiful black and gray, the holographic mirror, and the sword as well. I just love like an iridescent holographic, man. It's just so good. So I will read the synopsis of this because, like I said, maybe you don't know about it. It's fantasy, it's sapphic. I'm pretty sure it's adult as well. I will confirm that on the screen, but let me read the synopsis. In an England fueled by stories, the knight and the witch are fated to fall in love and doom each other over and over and over. No, I added an over. The same tale retold over hundreds of lifetimes. Simran, I think, is a witch of the woods. Vina is a knight of the queen's court. When the 2 women begin to fall for each other, how can they surrender to their desires when to give in is to destroy each other? As they seek a way to break the cycle, a mysterious assassin begins targeting tales like theirs. To survive, the 2 will need to write a story stronger than the one that fate has given them. But what tale is stronger than The Knight and the Witch? I do love the sound of this. I think I've heard it compared to like The Night Circus, The Starless Sea in that kind of dreamy, very inventive way that Erin Morgenstern writes. So I am really, really interested in this and I think it sounds super cool. And she's just so darn pretty. I just can't get over how pretty this book is. But so that is the book haul. And now I'll just talk current reads and reading plans. So I'm still currently reading A Murderous Relation by Deanna Raybourn. It is the 5th book in the Veronica Speedwell series. I'm doing a buddy read of that. I'm also currently reading a short story called Emergency Skin by N.K. Jemisin, who wrote the 5th season in those books. It is literally like 30-something pages long. I started it during my break at work yesterday, and I just haven't finished it. Like, I never came back and finished it after work. I will probably just mention it as like a throwaway line at some point because it's 38 pages. Not to undermine how good it could be, because The 6 Deaths of the Saint was one of my top books last year, even though it was like 30-something pages. So it can still have, like, it can still be really solid, but it's not really feeling like The 6 Deaths of the Saint at this point. It's feeling just kind of like middling at this moment, but I do want to finish it anyway because I love N.K. Jemisin. Aside from that, I don't really have any set reading plans. We're just going to mood read our way through this vlog. I am massively a mood reader. I don't really set TBRs for myself. But yeah, I don't know what I'm going to pick up next. I'm kind of feeling like I want some horror pretty soon. It's been a bit since I've read any. I might start a crochet project as well during this video. I have bought the stuff for it and it's just been sitting there, but it requires me to learn something new and I'm a little nervous about that. Anyway, I've been sitting here for an hour. My back hurts and my feet are numb, so I'm going to leave. I will see you guys in the next update, whenever that is, whatever we're doing. I will see you then. morning. We're in the car. I got to work a few minutes early, so I figured I would come in and chat for just like literally 5 minutes. I'm not here that early, so I figured I would come in. I have 4 reading updates for you. 4. So we're going to try to speed run through some of these. And I'll talk more about some of them later in depth because 2 of them are things that I have finished since the last time I talked to you, and 2 of them are things that I started, but I'm still very early into, so I will talk more about those next update. But let's start from the beginning. So the thing I finished most recently is actually a short story called Emergency Skin by N.K. Jemisin. I'm not going to talk about this one for very long because it's very short, but also I didn't really like it that much. I'm really sorry. I love N.K. Jemisin, okay? I have read the first 2 books in the Broken Earth series and I loved them. I really did. And I want to pick up the 3rd one in the Broken Earth. I want to pick up her Great Cities series as well. I really love her writing. This one was just a miss for me. Basically, it seems like humanity has left Earth because there was a disaster or everything was getting really destroyed on Earth or something like that. Think about like our Earth in a few hundred years maybe after a lot of climate decimation and things like that. Toxicity, no resources, etc. So it seems like everybody picked up and left Earth in what's called the Great Leaving, and they've gone to a different planet. And in this story, we're following a person who was sent from the new planet back to Earth to like gather specimens or gather data or something. And they have an AI in their head that's kind of like a co-pilot. And the whole book is the co-pilot speaking to the person, the scout. We don't get to see anything that the scout says or anything that they are doing. It's all the co-pilot speaking to you. The AI is the most, so just imagine the AI was written and scripted by the most like toxic incel, tech bro, red pill, rabbit hole kind of you can imagine. It is the most toxic and unhealthy viewpoint on women, on people of color, on there's a lot of fat phobia in this as well because the AI is observing things that the pilot is seeing and people that our character is seeing, and basically the AI is just being extremely bigoted in every kind of way. And it feels like if you just take the most conservative, terrible talking points and boil them down to their extreme, that's the AI. It feels very plausible that a lot of people on our current day Earth could say stuff like this and it could happen like this in the future. Basically, the reason why I didn't love the short story was because it felt like it was so ham-fisted with the kind of messaging about poisoning the AI and poisoning our future society that left Earth in like a very terrible light. And like obviously, yeah, it would be. It is terrible. And I didn't really love anything about really like the pacing or anything. It was kind of a rough read for me. But the other thing that I finished is A Murderous Relation. I was buddy reading this with Elise from Elise's Reading. They're parking near me. I don't want to be perceived. But basically it is a murder mystery, as they kind of all are. It's taking place against the backdrop of the Jack the Ripper murders that are happening in London at this time. And there's this forefront plot going on. Veronica and Stoker are having to go into this mysterious kind of sex club establishment. Kind of a high-class brothel, but more than just a brothel. These extravagant parties happen there with all sorts of debauchery. And it is run by a very mysterious woman named Madame Aurore. There's also this jewel heist kind of situation that Veronica and Stoker are being sent there for because they're trying to reclaim a jewel that one of the princes had given to Madame Aurore, and the royal family is worried that it would make him look really bad that he's giving this to like basically high-end madame, you know? So the royal family tasked Veronica and Stoker to go pick up this jewel to steal it from Madame Aurore, and while they're there, things start unfolding. So I really did enjoy this one. I think it's probably getting up there with some of my favorites. I still think the second one is my favorite. The 4th one and the 5th one have both been really great. I read them both back to back. I'm gonna take a slight break between this one and the next one because I have read 2 of them back to back, but there's still so many. There's 10 in the series, so I still have quite a bit to get through. But overall, I did like it. I thought that it was an interesting backdrop with the Jack the Ripper murders, and the commentary around the Jack the Ripper cases were really interesting. The author's note at the back was fascinating. I really liked how she framed the victims as people and not just props for media sensationalism. I will talk more about this one in my wrap-up whenever that goes up as well. I'm running out of time, so let's quickly introduce the two things that I am reading now. So I started Hell Followed With Us by Andrew Joseph White, which is a YA dystopian sci-fi following a very religious extremist cult, basically, that has destroyed the earth and is in the process of trying to kill off all humanity. Very cool, very fun. Yep. And it's horrific. It is gory. It is nasty. So yeah, it is a great time. I'm having a good time with it. And then the other book that I'm reading is Local Heavens by K.M. Fajardo, I think. I don't remember her name. I don't remember the last name. I'm so sorry. I'm going to put it on the screen. It is a Great Gatsby retelling in a cyberpunk sci-fi future. And it is queer. It focuses a Filipino-American version of Nick Carraway. I do not remember a lot of The Great Gatsby. I read it when I was in high school, but I don't really remember much about it. So I am struggling a little bit trying to remember a lot about the Gatsby and trying to like compare the parallels of them as well. So yeah, I am liking it, but I'm struggling a little bit with just getting those parallels, you know? And also the beginning of the book is very slow. It kind of is. We just got to meet Gatsby, and so that's gonna start picking up the story a bit more. But that's really all the time I have. I need to go to work. I just wanted to come in and give those 4 reading updates. We kind of blitzed through them, and I will see you guys later. I am going to the shelter tomorrow, so there will be a shelter kitty update, and if I have any more reading updates, maybe this weekend, I will come in and give them to you. So I will see you whenever I see you. Goodbye.
8 hours later.
Hello, it is now many hours later because I just finished my shift. I'm back in the car. This time I turned the engine off. Well, I guess I never turned it on. I just got in the car. I realized that the engine sound probably isn't the most wonderful background noise. I'll try to remember every time I do car updates to not turn the engine on. Why is there so much stuff floating around? But anyway, I'm here because I have one reading update. Remember how I was reading Local Heavens? I'm not anymore. I've DNF'd it. I was reading some of it on my breaks at work today. That's why I'm updating now. So I made it 30%, about a third into the book. The reason mostly that I want to DNF is because it's just not really grabbing me. I feel extremely detached from the book at the moment. It's just not really hooking me in. It never really did, even from the beginning. I was just kind of giving it time to get going and to really like have the plot start to move along, or to start really feeling any sort of connection to the characters. And the most I can say is that I was feeling very intrigued by some of the tech, the advancements that were present in this society, especially the like virtual reality aspects of it, because there's this thing called happy sleep, but it's these like virtual reality kind of headsets that are basically akin to drugs. Like it's basically considered like a drug to use, and a lot of people will do happy sleeps on top of other drugs as well, or on top of alcohol. And that's kind of where the prohibition elements come into this, like the prohibition elements from Gatsby, the original Great Gatsby. It feels like this is the parallel, the like cyberpunk parallel to that prohibition era with the alcohol, but also they aren't illegal. Really, the prohibition element, it's not even really the happy sleeps, is it? It's the body mods, because people have a lot of different kinds of mods that they can access, a lot of them illegally on the black market, and some of them are very visible, some of them are not. That's one thing that this book sets up pretty early, is that a lot of the wealthiest people, they like to show their wealth, they like to flaunt their wealth, but not in a overt physical kind of way. The most rich people in this book, the wealthiest people in this book, have mods, but they are imperceptible to the human eye. You can't tell that they're mods. So it's basically like they're perfecting themselves in their eyes, or they're modifying themselves, but they're not letting on that they're modified, which feels very much similar to modern day celebrities with like plastic surgery being completely crazy, and the like Ozempic chic and everything like that. And so that seems like it's the modern day kind of parallel, is plastic surgery, and how all these celebrities want to convince you that they haven't had plastic surgery, that they're not on Ozempic, that they haven't been doing whatever, they're just this way naturally. And that's kind of what this book is doing with body modification, like ocular implants and other kinds of modifications that boost your strength. There's also age mods that make you look younger, and I just think it's interesting. Like there's interesting concepts going on in here, and it seems like people lean one way or the other. They either think the Gatsby retelling aspect is really well done and they love it, or people think it's extremely derivative and it doesn't reinvent itself enough. And I just haven't read The Great Gatsby recently enough to have an opinion on that, so I wonder if I should reread The Great Gatsby before I try reading this again. I don't know if I will read this again, though. That's the thing. There were a lot of things about it that I just like wasn't clicking with. It's kind of a soft DNF, I would say. Maybe I'll revisit it after I read The Great Gatsby again. Having that top of my mind would probably help me with this. I think the author has said you don't need to have any knowledge of The Great Gatsby, or you don't need to have read it to read Local Heavens. But I do think since it's a retelling, it would be helpful if I had. But that's the thing. I've read so many retellings that I've never read the original of. Mostly like Grimm's fairy tale type retellings. And I've never read the original tale, but that doesn't mean that I didn't love the retelling that I've read. So I guess it doesn't really compare. But some of the things that I've read in this book, it just feels like it wants you to know about The Great Gatsby, but it doesn't want you to know about The Great Gatsby. So let me know in the comments down below if you've read it, what you think about it, if you would recommend reading The Great Gatsby and then trying this again. I also just wasn't really jiving with all of the like corporate aspect of it. This is very corporate, which I guess makes sense because the original Great Gatsby is a criticism on capitalism. From what I can remember anyway, I'm pretty sure one of the things it does is criticize capitalism and like American businessmen and that kind of thing, like moguls. But again, I might be wrong. I read it a really long time ago. So I get that it is trying to do that. It's trying to lean into that with all the like corpo language, but I don't give a shit about corporations and businesses, man. I guess in the sense of like the character is talking about the work that they're doing and the like net diving that they're doing, but they're using all this corporate lingo and I'm just like, I don't know, I'm a little detached from it. So long-winded way of saying I've DNF'd it and I want to hear what you guys think about if you have read it. And likewise, tell me if you read The Great Gatsby, if you haven't read it, if you think that enhanced or detracted from your experience reading Local Heavens. I would love to hear what you think. I realized recently that I've been DNFing a lot. I have DNF'd like 3 or 4 books already this year. So I think this year, 2026, is going to be the year of not forcing myself to read things I'm not enjoying. I've just historically had a hard time DNFing books because it feels like calling it quits too early. But I guess just the way that I'm reframing it is there's so many books on my TBR. There's so many books in the world. If I'm not enjoying one, it's not really worth wasting the time to try to enjoy it or to try to force myself through it. I'm just trying to kind of listen to my gut feeling on books a little bit more. So that means that the only thing I'm reading right now is Hell Followed With Us. I do want to start another book. I just don't really know what I want to start. But yeah, anyway, I'm tired and I've had a headache all day today. It's also that time, so your girl's kind of in the trenches right now. But I'm gonna head home. I will see you guys whenever. Sayonara. I'm on the floor and I'm angry because it is so hot. It honestly feels like summer today. It is 75 degrees. It is still the beginning of March. This is way too fucking hot for the beginning of March. I am not happy about it.
So how are we gonna fix this? I'm going to go remove South Carolina.
In other news, I am off today, so I have some actual daylight. And I also happen to have a bag of books that I wanted to haul. I went a little crazy book shopping this weekend, but a lot of it is used, so don't panic. So the first thing I'm going to start with actually just arrived before I started filming. It was just delivered, and it is ゚Links Bone by T. Kingfisher. This design, this cover of it, is the UK paperback, and so I don't know if I just got insanely lucky and someone happened to be selling their UK paperback in the US, but I have it and I'm really excited about it because I love this book. I gave it a 5 when I read it, so I was really lucky that I found this on Mercari because I'd been looking for a copy and I didn't really want to pay like the shipping from the UK to get it. And I also really just love the UK design of this cover. I find it much better than the US design for the cover. I'll put the photo on the side so you can compare the two, but I just really love how it has the bones to make up the title of ゚Links Bone. It has like the demon chicken on this side, which I do love. So this was a great find used. I guess I'll just go through all of the used books first, and then I have 3 new books that I got yesterday. So the next thing that I picked up secondhand is this advanced reader copy for The Absinthe Underground by Jamie Pacton, and I really love this cover. It's definitely a cover purchase, honestly. Oh my god, Matcha is getting on my fucking nerves today. I've had to shoo her off my journaling desk like 3 times already. So if I keep changing where I'm sitting, that's why. Okay, so The Absinthe Underground. This is an advanced reader copy, which I think this book came out several years ago. Yeah, the publication date was February 6th, 2024, so it's really not that old, but it is not like a new release or anything. And I've seen like not the greatest reviews for this on Goodreads. It seems like the ratings for this trend kind of low, like 3 to 2.5 or maybe 3.5, but some people really love it. So I think I just kind of need to see for myself if I like this one or not. It's very niche comparatively to some other books because it only has like 2,000 ratings on Goodreads. So I thought this would be a good chance to give it a try just because I got it thrifted and it's really cheap. Obviously I will have to factor in that it's an advanced reader copy. There might have been some changes that happened between this version and the final version that got published. The synopsis for this is really, really long. It's like 3 paragraphs long. So I'm just gonna read the blurb. It says, Moulin Rouge meets Holly Black in a thrilling sapphic friends to lovers romantasy. It seems like it's set in a prohibition style kind of city with nightclubs, cabarets, cafes. And it's about a girl named Sybil who ran away from home and then another girl named Esme. And it seems like Esme is like a tinkerer. She tinkers with clocks. That's in here. And I guess Sybil and Esme, in an attempt to like make rent, end up engaging in some kind of a heist. They are trying to steal rare posters that pop up around town, probably for The Absinthe Underground, I would assume. Oh, this paragraph of the synopsis has a pretty big spoiler in it, like something that I don't think they should have revealed their hand with that early, but I'm not going to read it to you. But yeah, there is some more going on. This is fantasy. There is fantasy elements that come into this, and the 3rd paragraph does explicitly make that clear. But I don't want to tell you about it. It just sounds interesting. It sounds like, I don't know, a prohibition-style fantasy. That sounds kind of nice. It is YA, which I'm sometimes hesitant about. I have kind of been hit or miss with YA recently. I feel like now that I'm approaching 30.
What year were you born? 1980.
Maybe I'm just not enjoying them as much anymore, but I still do love a good YA now and then. I think that they can handle really great themes, and sometimes they can be very inventive. And I think that if the writing is very good, it doesn't really matter that it's YA. I think that having younger characters doesn't necessarily make something not worth reading when you're an adult. So I still read YA. It's just sometimes I've been hit or miss recently with YA. So these next few books are kind of part of a personal project of mine where I'm trying to collect all of this series that I read when I was a child. It's a nostalgia collection kind of thing. I already have 3 books in this series, but I hit the jackpot when we went to this used bookstore. I found a ton of them. And so those books are the series of unfortunate events. I found all of these, which honestly was such a huge find because I'm specifically wanting the hardcover versions. I don't want the paperback versions because these are the ones that I read when I was a kid. I had a box set of the hardcovers. It was gifted to me by someone in my family, and for whatever fucking reason, I got rid of them. I didn't keep them. I think once I aged out of reading like children's middle grade books, I started getting rid of all of mine, and I don't know why. I wish I had kept those because now as an adult, I'm wanting to collect all of them again. So I already had these 3, which are on a shelf over there. They're kind of separate from the other ones at this point. I didn't know where to really put them on my main bookshelf. Now I have 8 of the 13, so I'm really, really excited. We're making good progress on these. Okay, I just put them in order and put them over here. So now I'm missing 4 6, 7, 8, and then 12, and that's it. So I am really excited about finding a bunch of these at the used bookstore. So every time I go there now, I'm going to be hunting for these last few volumes that I need. Really happy about them. If you read these when you were a kid, feel free to chime in the comments because I'm just happy to be collecting them again. I'm definitely going to reread them at some point just for the nostalgia. You know, like I'm obviously not a child anymore, but I think that there is so much value in revisiting nostalgic things when you're an adult. It just kind of brings back that childhood joy that I think we kind of really need right now. So I'm going to put these on the shelf where they will be living. One second. I have hit an unanticipated roadblock, and that roadblock is these books do not fit on the shelf that I was putting them on. Okay, so problem tentatively solved. I've consolidated my TBR onto these 3 shelves now. And this is my temporary nostalgia shelf. I don't know if it's going to stay this way. Ideally, I want my TBR to just be these 2, but I don't know if they'll all fit. I guess I can also put these on the shelf as I go, so maybe I'll do that. Okay, impromptu reorganization aside, I have 3 books left to show you, and those are the ones that I got new. So I went to that used bookstore with a couple of my friends, and then we also went to a new bookstore, like that sells new books, not a brand new bookstore. We've never been to this bookstore chain before. It was a very, very good time, and I definitely want to go back there, even though it's a little bit of a drive. So I'm going to show you what I got there. The first book that I got is Fate's Bane by C.L. Clarke. This one is actually a little bit hard to find. I haven't found it at a Barnes & Noble location. I've been looking every time I go. I haven't been able to find it on like Pango Books or Mercari either, so I was really happy to see that they had it just because I've been trying to get my hands on it. I just really, really adore this cover, and I actually follow the artist on Instagram, so I'll try to link them or put them on the side here because their art is really, really good. So this one is a sapphic fantasy, which I'm always here for, and I'll read you the synopsis as well. The clans of the Fens enjoy a tenuous peace, and it is all thanks to Agnir, ward and hostage. For as long as she can remember, she has lived among the enemy, learning their ways, growing strong alongside their children. When a burgeoning love for the chieftain's daughter lures them both to a hidden spring, a magic awakens in them that could bind the clans under one banner at last, or destroy any hope of peace. By working their intentions into leather, they can weave misfortune for their enemies, just like the Fate's Bane that haunts the legends of the clans. Ambitions grow in their fathers' hearts, old grudges threaten new violence, and greedy enemies wait outside the borders, seeking to claim the Fens for themselves. And though the women's magic may save their families, the legend that gave them power always takes its price. So I'm really excited about this one, and even though it's small, I have a feeling that it's going to pack quite a punch. It seems like the reviews say it is very, very emotional. So that is Fate's Bane. I'll put this one right there. So these next 2 books are from the same store. They have a bargain books section, and a lot of them seem like they're in perfect condition, and a lot of the books that they had in the bargain section were hardcovers. So these are 2 hardcovers that I got for very discounted prices. The first one is Salt Slow by Julia Armfield. This is a short story collection, and as you see, I got it for $10, which the new price would have been $25. So yeah, definitely a good deal. So this is actually Julia Armfield's debut, but I did read her other book, or one of her other books, Our Wives Under the Sea, and I really liked it. So this one is an exploration of women's experiences in contemporary society mapped through their bodies. It says it's a blend of elements of horror, sci-fi, mythology, and feminism, and from what I've seen, this looks like it's going to be really, really good. I do love her writing. I think that it's very... It seems like it's very... I don't think this is a word. This is not a word, but ruminatory? Like it's thought-provoking, and it kind of makes you sit there and just kind of mull over everything that she's saying. I don't know how to describe it other than that. But Our Wives Under the Sea I really did like. I didn't give it a super high rating, but I did read it at the right time, at the right mood. I think I was just perfectly in the mood for something very melancholy, and that definitely delivered, I would say. So I'm looking forward to reading this collection from her. Where are you gonna live? You'll live down here. And the last book that I have to haul is The Cautious Traveler's Guide to the Wastelands by Sarah Brooks. I got this for $7.97, and brand new it would have been $29. Really, really, really great deal. This one came out a couple years ago. I, for whatever reason, thought it came out in 2025, but it came out in 2024. And I think I was recently seeing Leandra, the TBR Zero, talking about this one. I think she had a video talking about standalone fantasy sci-fi. I might be wrong, but I'll link the video that I saw her talking about it. The synopsis is really long, so I'm just gonna read like a snippet of it. There's only one way to travel across the wastelands, on the Trans-Siberian Express, a train as famous for its luxury as for its danger. The train is never short on passengers eager to catch sight of wasteland creatures more miraculous and terrifying than anything they could imagine. But on the train's last journey, something went horribly wrong, though no one seems to remember exactly what happened. There's a map! Check this out. There's a map of the train cars. That is so cool. I love that. I've never seen a map of train cars before in a book. I think this is really neat. And I don't think this is going to be comparable to this at all, but it reminds me of that, what's the movie with Chris Evans? Snowpiercer? Is that what the movie is? It kind of reminds me of the vibe of Snowpiercer, although that was definitely more like dystopian and fucked up. But I think that this concept of this like city train that everybody lives on and that the outside is unhospitable and a wasteland kind of feels similar, although this seems like a different kind of wasteland with lots of creatures and dangerous flora and fauna. I think that with Snowpiercer, it was just like an apocalyptic winter kind of situation.
Patrolling the Mojave almost makes you wish for a nuclear winter.
That's the last book in the haul. I'm really excited about these. Where are you gonna live? You can live right here. So that's everything for the book haul section of this. Last time we talked, I had started Hell Followed With Us, which I'm still reading. So we talked about that, and since then I have started another book. It is another sci-fi. I'm definitely in kind of a sci-fi mood right now, it seems. And so that is Of Monsters and Mainframes by Barbara Truelove, I believe. I am really, really enjoying it so far. I don't know how to explain what's happening, really, aside from it's all taking place on a cargo spaceship on a interdimensional space flight, and the ship is run by an AI called Demeter. And basically it feels like this book is a monster of the week type style, where there's kind of a different like villain or monster every section of the book, I suppose. This book is really hard to like explain or synopsize, but basically Demeter keeps having her human crews killed off by different monsters, and she keeps getting like kind of roped into the middle of this, trying to stop the monster that's wreaking havoc on her spaceship. I'll try to talk to you guys about it more later, just because I really have no idea how to synopsize it. It's really fun so far. It's just a good silly time. But I'm really excited to continue both of those books that I'm currently reading because they're very fun. Although obviously for very different ways, because Of Monsters and Mainframes is kind of more silly and Hell Followed With Us is much more dark and gruesome. But I'm definitely very invested in that book already. I'm really, really intrigued with what's going to happen. So yeah, next time I see you, I'll have some kind of reading update. Goodbye. So it's been a few days since my last vlog update. I have a couple reading updates for you. Ignore the box in the window over there. It's how we block Matcha from scratching the screen when the window is open. Today I'm going to the shelter that I volunteer at to see a kitty, and after the shelter I'm going to be doing some reading sprints where I hope to finish, this is my segue into the reading update, I hope to finish Hell Followed With Us. I'm really far into it. I've got maybe just a third left, but I'm really enjoying this one. I'm really having a great time with it. It is definitely intense. It's very gruesome, it's gritty, but honestly I'm just having a really great time with Benji, our main character, and the themes that are going on in here. I didn't really tell you much about it in the last update because I was on a time crunch. So it's basically set a few years after a apocalyptic kind of situation happened where a religious extremist fundamentalist cult developed and released this plague basically that is called the Flood, capital F, and the goal of the flood is to exterminate humanity, because according to the cult, God's plan is to raise the earth and all the believers will be sent to heaven, all the non-believers will be sent to hell. And so that's the goal of this cult, is to spread the flood and exterminate humanity. So it's a few years into this situation happening. Many of the characters in this book are teenagers. Actually, most of the characters in the main cast anyway are teenagers, and they were all already alive when the flood started. They were just a few years younger. So it is very, very fresh. And our main character Benji was actually raised in this cult. His mother took them into the cult when it was a few years before the flood started, so they were already kind of integrated into it, and then the apocalypse happened. And his mother is a very influential character in the Angels, capital A, which is what they call the organization, basically the cult. Benji actually is a trans boy. So the cult does not acknowledge that he is trans. He hasn't really come out to anybody because of his own safety. And so where this book kind of kicks off is Benji and his father, who was also disillusioned with the cult. Benji and his father are trying to escape from the city where this is taking place, trying to escape the angels and get out on their own and try to establish a new life. This book kicks off with a lot of action because that's where we are started in the story, is the escape of Benji and his father out of the city. And so right away you're kind of thrown into all of this violence, all of this mayhem. And there's also, I'm gonna just warn you right now, there is some transphobia in this. There's dead naming because when the cult members capture Benji, because they don't know or don't care that he's trans, they do dead name him. So just be advised about that. It doesn't happen too often, but it does happen. Obviously watch out for your mental health in this. There are definitely a lot of content warnings. I would look up a full list, but the ones that I've picked up on, especially, obviously homophobia, transphobia, religious extremism. If you have a lot of religious trauma, there's a lot of that in here. Also, if you are a metaphobic, if you have a phobia of the V word, there is a lot of that in here. A lot. I'm a metaphobic, but I think that ever since I started medicating for my anxiety, it's gotten a lot more manageable. So it hasn't triggered me in any way, but it's not pleasant to read about. So just be advised about that. Also, specifically a lot of body horror and gore. If you have any phobias around eye stuff or teeth stuff, that happens in here. Generally just a lot of body horror, but it is YA, so it's not as graphic as a lot of adult horror is. And there's still so much in here I haven't talked about in terms of the actual plot that's going on and a lot of the auxiliary characters that come into this. I'm probably going to talk a lot more about that in my wrap up next month, so stay tuned for that. But I wanted to at least like come in and introduce the premise of this because I really didn't talk to you about it. Also, look at my bookmark. It's from this shop on Etsy, Paper Haunt. This was like one of their inserts that came with an order that I got, and I just cut out the bottle from it and made it a bookmark because I thought it was really cool. But anyway, yeah, that's Hell Followed With Us. I'm still working my way through this. I'm having a really, really great time with it. It is awful. Like, I'm sitting there the whole time, like with my hands on my head or like covering my mouth. And when I was reading it the other night, I was next to my fiance and I was like, dude, this book fucking sucks. But not in like a, this book is really bad, it sucks kind of way, but like it hurts. Like it sucks emotionally, you know? But it's really good. It's really good, but it sucks. That's Hell Followed With Us. Like I said, I would love to finish that today in my reading sprints. The next update that I have is a finished book. I finished Of Monsters and Mainframes by Barbara Truelove. I loved it. It was so fun. It was such a fun romp. If you want absolute space hijinks, sci-fi hijinks, crazy cast of characters that's just like so out of left field. There's so much humor in this. There's sassy AI that's just like constantly bickering with each other. There's found family. It's really a good time. I want to tell you about this, but I also don't want to take away any of the punch of some of the reveals that happen in this because it's just so wild and just so silly. So I'm going to read you the back of the book, and that's all I'm going to tell you about the premise. Demeter just wants to do her job, shuttling humans between Earth and Alpha Centauri. Unfortunately, her passengers keep dying, and not from equipment failures, as her AI medical system steward would have her believe. These are paranormal murders, and they began when one nasty, ancient vampire decided to board Demeter and kill all her humans. To keep from getting decommissioned, Demeter must join forces with her own team of monsters: a werewolf, an engineer built from the dead, a pharaoh with otherworldly powers, a vampire with a grudge, and a fleet of cheerful spider drones. Together, this motley crew will face down the ultimate evil, Dracula. The queer love child of pulp horror and classic sci-fi, Of Monsters and Mainframes is a dazzling, heartfelt odyssey that probes what it means to be one of society's monsters and explores the many types of friendship that make us human. Like I said, it is just a silly, wild time. It's so funny. It definitely has that feeling of everything just getting thrown on the page and seeing what sticks. But for me, it definitely worked. And I think that this won't be everyone's cup of tea, but it sure was mine. It was, ooh, I have tea. So like I was saying, this book is definitely exactly my cup of tea. It worked perfectly for me. I don't know what it was about it that worked so well. You know what it is? If you read A Closed and Common Orbit by Becky Chambers and you want more of that emotional found family AI aspect, but you want more funny and a little bit more like campy, this might be for you. This might be the ticket. So like I said, I really loved it. It was such a good time and I'm so happy that I read it. And also this cover is just so cool. It says the illustration and lettering is by Holy Moly UK on Instagram, and the cover design is by Charlotte Strick. It's just nice when you can just go look up the artist and see what else they've done. So I do appreciate that, and I also just wanted to say this cover is just so fun. That's Of Monsters and Mainframes, and those are my reading updates. That's all I have. Like I said, I'm gonna do sprints today. I'm gonna finish Hell Followed With Us, and that's probably the last thing I'm gonna finish in this vlog. This vlog is already really long. I'm still editing it, and it's like 35 minutes already. So the final vlog's probably gonna be almost an hour. That's the one thing about doing the wrap up and the vlog in one video, is that they're just really long. That also means that I'm not uploading uploading as frequently because I'm not splitting them into 2 videos. So I might separate them at some point too. I would like to have more uploads on the channel, be more consistent. Sometimes it's hard, just life kind of being life, you know, but it does help that I have more daylight now. I think the vitamin D is definitely helping me feel more motivated. Another thing, because I'm sitting at my journaling desk right now, I don't know how I feel about journaling lately. I've been in a really bad like creative slump with the journaling. I haven't done my February wrap-up spread yet, and it is like almost the middle of March at this point. I tried setting up to film it and I just wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling any inspiration to make my spread. I wasn't feeling like inspired. I don't know. So I'm not sure if I want to do my February spread without filming it, just so that I can kind of break the ice again on getting back into creating. Part of it I think is that I'm in this new journal now and I'm trying to adapt to the new format, but also I moved my whole journaling desk and reorganized everything, and now I don't know where anything is. So it's kind of just been a little bit of a predicament, just getting back into like the creative spirit, I guess. The other day I did sit down and film just a little tiny flip through of the 2 things I've done in this journal so far, which is the 2026 like title page and my January spread. I basically just showed the January spread because I didn't film that one. That one was at my old setup over there. And so maybe I will just do the same for the February one, just don't film it and then film a little flip through of it. Or I've also seen some people do is they'll film it, but they won't show the entire process. They'll just kind of jump around and show snippets of the process. Maybe I'll do something like that. I don't really know. I'm still kind of figuring it out. Anyway, yap segment aside, I think I'm gonna come in later with another update, probably the final update for this vlog, because hopefully I'll have finished How Followed With Us. I will see you guys whenever we do that. See you in a bit. Hello, I just got out of work, so unfortunately I was working on a Saturday today. It's my rotation, so it is what it is. Forgive the general sweaty state of my being. It was kind of fucking mayhem today. It was kind of a terrible day. I don't know, I just figured I would come chat with you right now and outro the vlog here because I finished How Followed With Us last night and I've given a lot of car updates this vlog, so we're just gonna give a car update again. I have the windows open just a crack because it feels like autumn today and there's some dead leaves from autumn still rolling around on the pavement, so it does sound really nice. So like I said, I finished How Followed With Us last night. I was sprinting yesterday. I sprinted for like 6 hours and 40 minutes, almost 7 hours. I was off yesterday, so I just was like, fuck it, we're gonna sprint. I did my journal page for February. I'm really happy with it, so I'll put that in a video coming up soon. So let's talk about How Followed With Us and my final thoughts on that. As you might be able to tell by my reactions from the last few clips, when I was finishing the book, it was really intense. There was a whole lot going on at the end, and it was very action-packed at the end, as I expected, because a lot of things had to happen and a lot of people had to die. But I enjoyed the ending just as much as I thought I would. I was kind of expecting a little bit more carnage, and there was plenty of carnage, don't get me wrong. It was definitely a little bit of a weird ending with some of the things that happened. Like some of the last few reveals, I was kind of like, what the hell? Like this came out of nowhere. Hang on, wait for this car to go by. I got a Docky Pep to help me through the day today. So yeah, I did really enjoy it a lot. I didn't give it a 5 stars just because I feel like what I was talking about in sprints yesterday was that for me a 5-star book is very much a feeling, and the feeling is if I finish it and I think to myself, I loved this, it was phenomenal, I don't care what anybody else has to say about it, I don't want to look at any reviews because I loved it so much, then that's a 5-star. Because usually what happens is when I finish a book, I want to look at what other people said, because sometimes it helps me solidify my feelings. Like I might have a tentative rating for it, maybe like a 3.5 or a 4, and then I look at the people that I followed and see what they gave it, or I'll read some reviews from other people who gave it like a similar rating to what I was thinking of giving it and just see what they say, just because sometimes having other people put it into words also helps me solidify my feelings about something. But when it comes to the feeling of like a 5-star book, that's when I just do not care. It's like that feeling of I will not be swayed on this because I loved it that much. So that's a 5-star. This one wasn't really a 5-star for me in that kind of way, but it was really fun. Sorry for that really reflective spot right there. I'll try to block it. I mean, was it perfect? No. Was it flawlessly executed? No. Did some of the characters make stupid decisions because they're teenagers? Yes. But honestly, I feel like this one just had so much soul. I was honestly just having a really good time with the carnage in here. I was enjoying the themes of religious extremism and religious trauma. Like, it was really well done in that way. And overall, I just had a really really good time with it. It definitely like made me feel kind of hollow at the end a little bit because I was like, wow, such a wild time, and it was so raw, you know? It feels like I have the bloodlust now in that way where I want to read more horror because that kind of like put me in the mood for it. Man, I want more now, so maybe I'll read another horror next. So that's it for this vlog. This brings us to the end of the vlog. So I hope that you enjoyed, and I hope that you will like, comment, and subscribe. It means a lot to me that you're here. If you're not feeling chatty but you want to let me know that you were here, why don't you drop a vampire emoji in the comments for Dracula from Of Monsters and Mainframes, because I think that was my favorite book in this vlog. So yeah, drop me a Dracula in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!